I've been involved with nuclear power in one form or another for 30 years.
I've spent 25 years in the business. I have experience at 3 different nuclear reactors.
I've worked here for 32 years, lived nearby. I actually have a son that works here.
It was my choice to come, and it's my choice to stay. I've been here 23 years.
I'm very proud of what we do. My family's proud of what I do.
Indian Point Energy Center today. Safe, secure, vital.
Hi, I'm Mike Hansler. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Entergy Nuclear Northeast. I have responsibility for 5 nuclear units that we own up here in the northeast part of the country. And we put this videotape together today basically to give you the facts about Indian Point. We'd like you to make up your own mind about Indian Point, but we truly believe that it is safe, secure, and vital.
I believe that the people who work at Indian Point are the best ambassadors for this facility. And if the people at Indian Point didn't believe that this facility was safe, they would be raising the alarm and they wouldn't be working here.
Through good design, good monitoring, good maintaining of equipment, and through good training of the operators and personnel who work here, we are all dedicated to operating this plant in a safe manner.
Once you get educated on nuclear power, you realize how safe it is.
If most people in the community really paid attention to the facts, the true facts about this plant, on how safe it's run, how well the employees are committed to their jobs, and how important the nuclear industry is to this country, that they should feel very safe of having us in their neighborhood.
We're trying to outreach to the community and tell them if they have any questions, we'll answer them.
Ask any question you want. We'll answer any questions you have. And we'll be honest and we'll be sincere.
The public should feel safe about Indian Point for a number of reasons. One of which is that Entergy, which runs these plants, is a large nuclear operator. We own 5 plants in the southern part of the U.S. and we own 5 plants in the northern part of the U.S.
We're using our experience at each of the plants to influence and improve each of the other plants.
Indian Point 3 just had a WANO 100 rating, which is the best in the country, as good as you can get.
We feel that our first obligation is to our neighbors and to the surrounding public.
Our mission is to continue to run the plant safely, and we will do what it takes to run the plant safely, above all else.
These individuals are truly committed. They know what they're doing. They receive a lot of training, and they're committed to this facility. They also live in this area. These are people who are local people who live in the towns around the plant, and they're committed to the safety of this facility. They're long-term professionals.
I think we're very qualified to protect the plant. I've been a nuclear security officer for over 18 years. I take my job seriously because I think it's vital to the community to have adequate security at a nuclear power plant.
Well, I take my job very seriously. My kids live within a mile of this place. Yes, this place is secure.
This plant is very secure from outside attack. The security force and the security readiness of this facility is one of the top in the industry.
It would be extremely difficult for an unauthorized person to get into the plant. Photo identification, hand geometry, metal detectors, explosive detectors, X-ray machines are all employed prior to even an employee getting into the protected area of the plant. And we have tested the defensive strategy and found it to be effective. It was recently tested by the NRC and found to be effective.
Prior to being hired at Indian Point, each candidate must go through extensive background checks and a psychological evaluation. Prior to entry at Indian Point, each employee must provide a photo ID badge at the main gate. At the plant gate, all employees are screened for bombs and explosives, and they undergo additional screening for smaller weapons. Then they use a palm print and photo ID to activate the gate. To gain entrance to vital areas, employees must provide an additional palm print and ID. On the Hudson River, the U.S. Coast Guard and Entergy have established zones near the plant where boats are prohibited. Any boats entering the zone elicit a security response.
Indian Point is one of the most heavily defended industrial sites in the United States in the nuclear industry.
Top officials of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission echo that statement.
We have the internal security guard forces. We have local police, we have state police, and we have the Army National Guard. Who else in the country is defended like that? We've spent more money upgrading these facilities than we spent on purchasing them.
Continuous improvement is another one of our philosophies. And so we have plans for the future, plans for next year, plans 5 years out to continue to improve the plant equipment.
Mechanics, technicians, engineers, everybody has a training program, and it's accredited by an Institute of Nuclear Power. Most operators go through at least 18 months of classroom training. And then after that training, they have to pass a written and a simulator dynamic exam and a walkthrough in the plant that is administered by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. That's just to get your license. Once you get your license, you have to maintain your license. Every 6 weeks, approximately, you go back to training for a week of training.
Every employee in my organizations get between 60 and 80 hours of training a year minimum.
To be eligible to train as a reactor operator at Indian Point, applicants must have at least 3 years' experience in operations at a power plant, 1 year of experience at the plant where the license is sought, at least 1 year of training as a non-licensed operator. To be eligible to train as a senior reactor operator at Indian Point, applicants must have a license as a reactor operator or a bachelor's degree in engineering. A senior reactor operator receives a year of training in addition to the 1.5 years of training to become a reactor operator. The emergency plan covering the Indian Point Energy Center was prepared by the 4 counties surrounding the plant: Westchester, Putnam, Orange, and Rockland, and the state of New York. The plan includes a 10-mile emergency planning zone around the site, established by federal regulations. If an event, however unlikely, were to occur at Indian Point that would require a response from the public, persons within the 10-mile zone would be advised by public officials via the news media on appropriate response, such as sheltering or evacuation. The emergency plan does take into account acts of terrorism or any other event that might lead to a release of radioactivity from the site.
Emergency planning conducts at least quarterly drills for both units, which is a training tool in which we practice how to respond to an emergency.
Entergy's commitment to emergency planning. We are committed to emergency planning for Indian Point. Our role is to run plants safely and securely and prevent accidents. The plant design reduces potential for severe accidents. We run frequent drills on site to test fast response to extreme scenarios. This emergency plan has always addressed potential terrorism. 4 counties and the state are responsible for the off-site emergency plan. Entergy is committed to providing any needed assistance. There are frequent drills to test county and state response. According to the WIT report, Indian Point meets all NRC and FEMA emergency planning requirements. Entergy remains committed to enhancing the plan based upon further guidance from emergency planning experts and state and federal regulators.
I feel that nuclear is the future of this country. It's clean, it's safe, and I believe that one of the best environmentally safe sources of energy that we have is nuclear power.
I do not know any other way to make such a large amount of energy without polluting our environment. Indian Point do not emit any carbon dioxide or sulfur, which causes greenhouse effect and acid rain.
Nuclear provides 20% of the power to the U.S., and not a lot of people know that.
The design details are incredible. It's an engineering marvel.
The buildings and the structures that house the reactor are probably among the strongest buildings ever designed.
Every system that we have to run this plant has got a backup, and its backup has a backup. It's inherently a safe design.
In recognition of Entergy's business leadership and nuclear operations excellence, the Edison Electric Institute honored Entergy with its highest award.
The plant is designed so as not to have releases. There are 3 main barriers to any release. Each of those barriers are backed up by a safeguard system.
The reactor dome has walls of steel reinforced concrete ranging from 6 feet thick at the bottom to 3.5 feet at the top. The plant's design makes a nuclear explosion impossible, nor can there be an event like the one at Chernobyl.
The plant can't explode because the type of fuel we use at the plant is very low in
concentration in terms of the uranium that we use, uranium-235. It would take approximately 90% 235 to have an explosion, whereas the fuel we use here at the plant is somewhere between 4 and 8%.
Recently, 19 prominent nuclear experts concluded that a reactor containment building could easily withstand the force of a jetliner crash. Writing in the journal Science, they said no airplane, regardless of size, could fly through the walls of steel-reinforced concrete several feet thick. The scientists referred to a study at Sandia National Laboratories. An unmanned fighter jet on rails was crashed into a test wall at 480 miles per hour. The engines penetrated only about 2 inches, and the fuselage even less than half an inch. Electricity is vital to our economy and our daily lives. Indian Point contributes 20 to 30% of the electricity used in the New York City area. In New York, an organization called the Independent System Operator, or ISO, is responsible for the electrical transmission system. These experts say that without Indian Point, on the hottest days of the summer of 2002, electricity costs would have skyrocketed. 100% in the New York City area, 70 to 100% in the Westchester area, 120% on Long Island. The chances of power blackouts would increase 5 times. New York City and state would face energy shortages even greater than they do now. Without Indian Point, electricity supply becomes less reliable. On the hottest days last year, New York came close to exhausting the electricity supply, according to state regulators. Electricity costs would rise $1 billion per year in the short term, according to one study. Replacement power for Indian Point is not readily available from outside the region due to constraints in the transmission system. New power plants are not being built here fast enough to meet the growing demand for electricity due to collapse of the energy financing markets. Replacing Indian Point power would create a 14-ton increase in air pollution annually from fossil fuels. Source, independent study. Greater reliance on natural gas and foreign oil at a critical time in our history when we need to rely on them less.
The Indian Point Energy Center is a very, very large power source for the local area. That power source is needed in order to maintain electricity into the New York City metropolitan area and to the surrounding communities.
You look at the jobs and the impact on the economy around the region. I mean, we have 1,500 employees at the site, plus a number of contractors that move through there. It's tens of millions of dollars impact on the economy. We provide tremendous amount of property tax to both the county, the school districts, and the towns, which would leave them in a lurch if we were to walk away.
Nuclear power is the source of energy that we have to have in this nation to continue growing. We do not want to be dependent on foreign sources. My parents live in Buchanan, my aunt and uncle, my grandparents all did, and I grew up in Buchanan itself.
I have 2 children, and I live like a mile and a half down the road. I would not be in the area if I thought Indian Point was unsafe.
I definitely feel my family safe. I got pregnant and had my daughter and was on site the whole 9 months I was pregnant.
I have no qualms about living right next door to the plant.
Indian Point is safe, and if it wasn't, I wouldn't want my family living in this area.
Indian Point Energy Center today. Safe, secure, vital. For more facts about Indian Point Energy Center, go to www.safesecurevital.org.